We are coming to you live today, wherever you are in the world. That we come out here today. It is Wednesday. Could be Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday morning. We gonna see what we got. For coming on board for you. You know, see how y'all doing. Just trying to put this thing. See what we got real quick. Coming to you live today. It is a live broadcast today, so thank you for coming. Try to get this stuff put up properly. That I just have. Okay, I got this thing on board now. Let me see. Do you boycott Target? Okay, we got a good question today, so we're gonna find out where you is. We're gonna be here for a little while. We're gonna definitely see what we got. Having a great day. What's happening? How you doing? How you doing? What's happening with you? Where you coming from today? Says JJ28. Where are you coming from today? I'm just now coming on board, so let me know where you coming from. Where are you coming from today? Do tell. I am live across the board. Let me know where you're coming from. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Let me get all my information. Confirmation. Let me know where you're coming from today so we can talk. All this information. How is it going? How's it going? If you are live, feel free to say something. If you are live, let me know so I can hear what you're talking about. See somebody that was on, but nobody ain't saying nothing. Okay. Put that down. Get all that stuff up. All right. Somebody said hi, but no one said nothing. Okay. Come on now. Got one click, one like. What's happening? How you doing? Jay and Jamie. Okay. So the pair. Okay, Jay and Jay. What's happening? How you doing? Where you coming from today? I got another vote. 50% for Target. Now, Target is usually based in America, so you understand where I'm coming from the DI. UK. Okay, what part of the UK? Where are you coming from? Let me know where you're coming from. We're gonna see if we're near each other. What's up, Jay Wheels? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Feel free to chime in. Sheffield, near the Isle of Wight. Sheffield, okay. Sheffield gets some love though. It's cool. That's all good. Good to have you come aboard. It's the first time you've been here? I think it is, because I would remember we'd have definitely had conversation before, if I recall. But thank you for coming through. All right, Jay Will, what's on your mind? Let's talk. Sure, you got a lot to talk about. What's happening, TSP? Thank you for coming through. Boy, I know we live in this time behind me, so I got mine. I hope you. Right on. Thank you for coming through. I definitely been enjoying your post on YouTube. What's happening? How you doing? I like your videos you put up. Well, bless your soul. Thank you so much for coming through. And do come again. Thank you. Always glad to see people coming through from different places and areas. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. It's keeping me warm. It's still kind of chilly. And we ain't quite got to the spring yet. Thank you. So keep my head comfortable. But anyway, where your body coming from? What's up? Where you coming from, Strong Muff? Let me know. Oh yeah, anybody knows that. But no, I didn't see that. But thank you for letting me know that. Let me write that down. That's true. That's true. That dude was bad. I don't. My black skin love me some heat. So I'm a soul brother at heart. I ain't with that wintertime. Brother needs some heat. Cause see, this weather make you lazy, lethargic, and just And I'm like, I'm looking forward to when the spring the weather gets gone, when the birds be singing. It be so chilly sometimes. They birds be going. I will look that up. But Drazen was a bad dude though. Drazen was. Cause he could actually ball. And he played in an era where they was hand checking you, getting physical with you. I'm gonna use that. Thank you. I'm gonna use that for a video. And it's true. Because Luca right now is like the Pillsbury version of James Harden. He ain't got no real rhythm to his game. He gets a couple of steals and he can shoot and whirl and twirl, but he don't really pass post. He can pass, but the way that to right really make people respect his game for what he do is kind of limited. It's true. It's just that he got that three ball that he can shoot. But if he ever gets exposed on the break or someone put some handles on him, that's why he has such a problem with Boston. As long as you ain't got to go around go against Jalen Brown. I ain't gonna lie. He got further, but it was a different era. If you gave Drazen Petrovic this era to come in, he'd won a chip by now. He was better because the era was better with the competition. Luca's playing a more watered down era. Not knocking him, but he's giving me James Harden 1 foot pinky toe movement, which is good for your stats, but it doesn't make you a better player. Stat wise, it looks good. But his dad would know though. His dad saw. Dad ain't gonna say that to be saying stuff, cause you ain't gonna pull Drazen Popovich out your and then Drazen was bad, yo. Luca got an outside shot and he's got moves and stuff, but it's a different era though. You can't even compare the eras. Because if Luca had to go and set Celtic defense every night, now he might not look so good. Because they make you put that and all that talk about Kyrie and his handles and all that. The only guard I seen that really was able to kind of do something with Boston was Steph. Just saying. In recent memory. So, but I'm gonna go see. I'm gonna go look that one up though. Because Drazen was a bad dude. He was a bad dude. Okay, so Target getting some love. Okay, good. I got people that's commenting. I love it. I'm not gonna be on tomorrow. Maybe Friday. Maybe. Question mark. Question mark. But definitely Saturday though. That's the plan. I owe myself a day, so the videos up on the podcast, so feel free if you missed anything. And they just uncut, so sometimes when you have that downtime and you're talking and you just have to, fill in. What do you think? Well, they haven't gone 7-3 without Curry. They only played last night without him. Jimmy Butler um, only played. He's been there for 15 games. They haven't missed up games without Curry. So I don't know I don't know where that one comes from. But I will say it was a good win against Milwaukee. Their problem is against Denver. Denver is their Achilles. They too light for Denver. They'll beat what I think run of the mill teams, but teams that's got any size, it could be a problem. They go get exposed. They go get exposed. They're gonna have a hard time against teams that'll expose them. I think that's gonna be a problem for them. Yeah, well, maybe they are, but that wasn't Jimmy Butler wasn't around for all of them. Though. That's the point. Who did they play? Now think about it. So before this ain't like it depends on who they played. He wasn't a part of it. He only been for like 15 games. And Steph only you can look it up. He wasn't there because Steph ain't missed no 10 games in recent memory. Steph done played pretty much every game since Jimmy's been there. That I do know. Because when they were on that winning streak, I don't think but Steph missed maybe one game in that. And he missed this game last night. Wasn't all that. They're not a championship team though. So let's just put that and nip that in the bush. They're a good enough team. If they didn't have to play Denver, I might say they could be a problem. But they can't beat the Nuggets to say they lied right now. So, but they're a feisty team. They're gonna be a hard out. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. If they didn't make that trade though, they'd stink. What is the point of this whole thing though? Where you going on with this though? I already said what I said. I got no more to really say about it. Jimmy Butler's playing his best ball because he gonna be on his best behavior because he gonna make sure he don't mess this up. This is his last go round, so he got to be on his best behavior for a few reasons. He's older, he needs the bag, and they might be the last credible team he gets to play with. So They're not a good team. They're good enough. They're a good team. When you say that, make it sound like they championship worthy. They're not. They're not. I just got through saying what I said. They can't beat Denver. See, the reason why people got so much hope if you're a Western Conference fan is because these teams each got something the other ain't got. That's why these teams been able to beat each other. There's nothing there that I see. I think Golden State is good. Yeah. Great? No. Don't play no defense. And too many times than not, they gotta, if they were to beat they beat Milwaukee last night. I'll give you that. But I'm not that sold on the Bucks. You know, I'll put it to you like this though. If Golden State could have gotten their hands on Giannis, then I'd say they gonna win it all. That would have been something. You get somebody like Giannis, Draymond come off the bench, you'll be unstoppable. So, but Jimmy Butler will get you a couple rounds to a second round. If they catch a break with someone being hurt or something funny matchup, then they got a chance. But it's too stacked against them. Oh yeah, easily. Not even close. Not even close. They the best playing best ball on the best team. It's not even close. They win every game they're supposed to. They run away with the West. He been making statements the last couple of weeks. I don't know what people have been watching. They've been on another gear. And the only team that's in the West that's gonna win 60 games. There you go. What else do I need to say? Which means they'll pretty much clear the West by 10 games. You realize they'd have to lose like 10 games in a row. They could actually go on a 10-game losing streak and still not get caught. You do realize that, right? So, no, it's a no-brainer. That's when you know it's bananas. And if the trees are back in OKC, who's gonna beat them? When Chad's back full strength and their inside low post is back, nobody want that. So anyway, 50% with the target thing. Okay, that's pretty good. Would you start your team for the next 3 years with SGA? SGA. And look, I like Jokic a whole lot, but SGA keeps getting better and better. And you gotta remember something. He's making history right before your eyes. 3 straight years of 30 plus points. And yeah, yeah. Why is it such a shock? Jokic is a better all-time player. But you asking me who I'm gonna start my team with in the next 3 years. I can't think Jokic is gonna do any better than what he's doing. Now, you want to know how you shut me up from saying like this? Let Jokic win a couple more rings, then I will defer. But if he don't win no more rings, I'm saying SGA. Because guards tend to last longer than low post centers. Also, the Nuggets on paper got more of a stack. Yeah, but is he winning rings though? He got one ring in his league MVPs. What else is he gonna do? I need to see two more rings, and then we can say yeah. That won't even be up for discussion. You think he got two more rings in him? Yes, I do. Because if you're going to sit here and Aaron Gordon scored 38 points the other night, right? Is Aaron Gordon a bum? Is Michael Porter Jr. a bum? Is Jamal Murray a bum? Is Russell Westbrook a bum? Come on now. And they won the championship a couple years ago. They were battle tested. They were in the Western Conference Finals in the bubble. So, did I miss something? Mike Malone knows a thing about being on championship teams. No, but Jamal Murray is good. He good enough that when he plays like he's supposed to, he's somewhere between 12 to 20 best player in the league. You don't need to have that at your point guard position. You need to have that one guy and you need to have a balance. Oh, so they've been flirting with being the second best team in the West this year. Did I miss something? They're fourth seed right now. Did I miss something? You do know that if they win a few more games, they can be anywhere from second to fourth. Does that sound like a chump ride? Who's inconsistent? Who's inconsistent? The Nuggets are inconsistent. That's who's inconsistent. I've been watching them. They underachieve. I put that on the coach though. And I got a video coming out about Mike Malone. Yeah, he is, except when he plays the Lakers. Because if he could play the Lakers and be in the bubble, this dude might be averaging like 30 points a game when he's on. But they battle tested. Okay? Battle tested. They lost in the second round last year. They won the chip a couple years ago. Okay? That's not a team that's got a janky roster. That's what you get. That's what you are. And you got to remember something. Clyde Drexler didn't play with a bunch of all stars either when he was in Portland. So where you going on with that? That's not up. That's not the truth. That's not the truth. You need a 1-2 punch. And there's the thing. But they are good enough. I do think they are a championship roster. Michael Malone talk that talk. They should be. Hmm. You up here acting like Jokic has got the Atlanta Hawks behind him. Like he got Trey Young behind him or something. Come on now. When you win a championship, you are a championship. There are expectations, okay? You're no longer just some small fry that nobody knows and people like, I wonder who you are and all that. So yeah, I did a video about that. And it was a video that it got inspired for real life experiences. Putt putt, I loved. I had some fun times playing putt putt. Sometimes the putt putts I played at, they got closed. Band cage was fun. So they both fun in different ways. Band cage's a good way to let off stress. Putt putt just makes you feel real cool. So thank you. That's tough for me sometimes, the band cage. When I was going past me, if we go to medium speech, yeah, onward. But I had fun in it though. Putt putt was interesting because I did a couple of them at the mall and I did one outside and they both fun in different ways. So I've always had fun with putt putt. Band cage is a good challenge though. So yeah, but I like them both though. Hmm. Yep. Anyway, let's see what we got. What's happening? For how you doing? John Starks. I give him a 7. Yeah, I remember the quote. I give him a 7. He was better than average. He worked very hard to make himself into a credible guard. He was resilient. He was tough. Um, he the reason why I say that is he wasn't a natural. He wasn't like he was top tier. And but he was good enough to hold tough. He held his own. I give him that. He had a lot of fight in him, you know. But it's funny you mentioned John Starks though. Mhm. But anyway, please hit the like up, hit the thing up. 57 say yes. Um, I like Starks though. I like him, but I'd say a 7 because he worked his behind off so much to get to where he got. So I would give him that. Mm. And I can always appreciate hard work. Myself, yeah, I think you did say that. Thank you. I think you did. And I remember saying it. I do remember. I remember. And I think I thanked you on the old video, which will be on the podcast too, by the way. So mm, yeah. Okay. Anyway, some good questions though. I was reading the Bleacher. Okay, I was reading the Bleacher Report, and they did their peak. Wilt Chamberlain had the best peak, so I disagree with that. MJ Kareem, you can flip that. You can go either way with that. Shaq had a better peak, I think, than Bron, than Bird. And I'd probably say LeBron over Hakeem in that regard, so I could go with that. Yeah, I probably would say Wilt had the greatest peak. Then you can make a case for MJ and Kareem. Shaq would definitely be higher. And then Bird would be right on it behind that. And I think LeBron and then Hakeem. If I'm going by that 7. Yeah, that's how I would do it. But Shaq's has to be about 4 or 5 though. Because only Wilt, MJ, and Kareem, then I would say Shaq. Because his peak was huge. And then Bird's gotta come in. Um well, I want to go with Oscar Robertson because he had the triple doubles and the numbers are crazy, insane. So how you not include that? Um, I guess you gotta almost say that because the numbers actually they were 7 of the most dominant for their run. So it's kind of hard because yeah, it's kind of hard not to say. You keep thinking there's somebody they're missing, but you know. But I would probably say, yeah, I had to put Wilt, MJ. Well, appreciate you for your words and your comments. Thank you so much for coming through. Appreciate you immensely. Always welcome thoughts and well wishes like that. So thank you. It's definitely appreciated. I just got kind of caught up in the trance because I was trying to read everything and hmm, just trying to read everything real quick. So see what we got. I definitely want to get an hour of time on here, so I will definitely give it another 28 minutes. Sure. Mm. Well, that shouldn't even be up for discussion if they want to win. I mean, what's he going to do for them? That means he doesn't want to compromise. They don't want to spend a lot of money. That's what that means. He trying to get him a 1 year, probably $20+ million deal contract guaranteed. And nobody gonna. Of course he did. Except he didn't know. It took a bully tactic game to beat Brett Favre when he was with Minnesota because Greg Williams' defense hit him in the knees and they gave him against New Orleans. That's the only reason why they didn't go to the Super Bowl. But think about it. It took a thuggery role, but Favre was far more, and he probably was trying to. But Aaron ain't got a lot of options though. People are kind of tired of his foolishness though. So good luck with that. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Because I think that when it's all said and done, he can just mess himself up. So let me turn this light on. Let me get into the green giant. Gotta get into the green giant. I guess he did want to fall in pursuit. I mean, and I understand why. But the problem is that he's spent right now. He done messed up too much. It's turning out to be, you know. How you doing? What's happening? Oh, I'm with that. I'm with that era. I'm with that era. Well, he won that Super Bowl that year. He almost had a concussion because remember that game against Washington. Because my buddy's a big Washington fan, and they won that game. They beat a Bears team, but Jay Cutler even halfway cared. who's one of the most frustrating quarterbacks ever, could have been a different story. And then he won the Super Bowl, beat Pittsburgh up pretty good, but there was a couple missed passes. It could have been worse though. But yeah, he that was it. That was it. And he had all of you know, he had all the mechanical things. I mean, if for people who don't know, it's John Elway 2.0. Mhm. But we never got that. Excuse me, we never got that guy back. And I've been hearing for the last 12, 13 years, oh, the bad man, and oh, what he can do, and all he can do, and all he can do. And I'm like, yeah, he never came back. And when he lost that NFC Championship game in Seattle, that was deplorable. He was scared of Richard Sherman, and he just, yep, and a bad attitude. Bad attitude. Because if somebody come up to me and ask me about somebody that was raw bone talent, I'm gonna mention him, but he was frustrating. Frustrating. Cats like him and Jeff George are frustrating. And I can tell you about those kind of, and I can also say about Kerry Collins too. It's coach the Panth I mean quarterback who went to Super Bowl. Talent, but he was hurt in the head. He was scared of Sherm. He was scared of Sherm. All he had to do was basically ink and dunk. Shoot, because Russell Wilson played like he was drunk in that game. They were horrible. There's no way in the world they should have lost that game in Seattle. So, but that outside kick is kind of like been their history. And he stunk against those other two games against the 49ers, against the 49ers, but yeah, the 49ers and against Tampa Bay, especially that 49ers game. Mm. But anyway, yeah, I remember. And he got him a gift too, because that Dez Bryant pass that was called incomplete, he got him a gift. Went to Seattle and it was flat. They didn't really do nothing. Russell Wilson threw 3 picks in that game. I remember that game like yesterday, yo. Russell sucked that game. And if he was a touch pass quarterback, Brady showed you what was up. Rodgers like him. You got that right. Except I will say this. He did look good in that Super Bowl. Peyton Manning ain't never looked good in none of these Super Bowls. That's the only thing I had to disagree with you on that. And with LeBron's case, he's had what I call the lucky ladder spill or something to fall his way, i.e., strike short in the season to win his first chip, i.e., Ray Allen shot, i.e., Draymond getting suspended, i.e., bubble. There was always something that came along that worked for him. Peyton Manning was just basically there when his Super Bowl comes game. Because if Michael Penix gets hurt or anything, he is a veteran. They didn't really stop him. They just lost the game. That was a winnable game for Green Bay. First of all, when the other team is throwing interceptions, you got to win that game. So that's Mike Meathead who messed that up. They should have beat Seattle without trying. The game really shouldn't have been that close. I understand what they're doing. Well, the Browns want him, and he will be retiring soon because that's the kiss of death right there. They could have been. I don't know about all that because when they played New England, Brady picked they behind apart. I don't know about that best secondary mess. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Should have been a dynasty though. If Pete Christmas Carol don't get bought and paid for with that meathead decision by the goal line, should have been. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know about that. Could have been something more. We'll never know though. We can't. This is the thing. Can't call them best secondary with the way they lost to New England. Not even talking about how that game ended, but the way Brady was picking a behind apart in the third, fourth quarter. Their defense laid down and he was moving the rock. So I can't say that. They had names and they had talent. And I will say this. I think that their cheap GM, John Schneider, and the powers that be probably underestimated, thought they were going to get them cats for a steal and kept chump changing it. And then them cats started to see what they were worth. But it didn't really pan out like that, though. No, it had nothing to do with that. If I was going to name a better secondary that I saw, I could definitely say them 80s 49ers. They play defense, yo. How you gonna call yourself that when you gave up 20 points in the fourth to New England? You know. Um, I could make a case even for the Bears secondary. I could make a case for the Raiders secondary. I won it with Lester Hayes and them, Mark Haynes. I can make a case for Raven. Yep. I can make a case for a few that come to mind. Seattle had a very strong defense, but they only really showed off against Denver. That was it, really. Yeah, well, I didn't even go to the 70s. I was just talking about the 80s with Lester Hayes and Mark Haynes, but that's fine. If the Eagles had a won a Super Bowl, I would have said that one in the late 80s was definitely too. I don't know about the best ever. He's in the argument. He definitely has a higher place. The Ravens were tough on the secondary. I'm in the 70s, yes. Mel Blunt, Donnie Shell and them, yes. Yes. That one was tough. That steel curtain defense was no joke. Oh, I already know. I already mentioned. You see when someone mentions some names, you up there saying then you want proven facts. I'm giving it to you. Shoot, they were. Seattle's defense was very good. I'll give you that. But it didn't really dominate. It just happened at Denver Super Bowl, but they didn't really flex hard. And they didn't really stop the 49ers. Kaepernick threw that interception. That wasn't, they were pretty evenly matched. Well, it's opinionated, but then it's actually fact. When you asking me who's the best, I'm talking about when they shut your butt down. You want a question and you don't like what I say, you can't have it both ways. I seen the 49ers defense back 40 years ago, blanket Dan Marino and the Marx brothers. 49ers did stop with Marino and the Marx brothers. Look it up. The Steelers did too. Yes, they did. That's a good point about the Cowboys secondary because they were able to be very effective. That's what Larry Brown got MVP in the Super Bowl with Dion and them and Woodson. And come on now, they were. Yeah, when you say one team, see what I'm talking about is that 49ers team in the 80s. Now if we're gonna go by one team of secondaries, I'm gonna pick the Bears of 85 if I'm gonna do that. Nobody remembers that. We don't talk about the Falcons. You had moments, but that Super Bowl disqualifies you. Sorry. When did they smoke them? When did they smoke them? Not in now 95 they didn't, because the Cowboys won the Super Bowl. When did they smoke them? I need some receipts on that one. Mm, Not going overboard at all because the Cowboys' secondary was better. It's a fact. I'll give you this. I'm gonna say this. I like Earl Thomas was bad, and Sherm was bad. But do I think they got their full potential? Did they look vulnerable against New England? Now, if they go out and shut down Peyton Manning and they go and shut down Tom Brady, then I will give you a big, but they didn't. They didn't. If they had won back to back and beat those two, thank you. And they had a good chance to win the second one, besides for that bonehead play at the end zone. Which I lived near Seattle, and people in Seattle do not. I lived near there. People in Seattle don't even talk about that second Super Bowl. I know. I gave you that. I gave you that. But talking about the Seahawks second Super Bowl is almost like talking about the Godfather Part 3. Unless you a diehard. That don't come up too often. I'm just saying. And well, it happened. Yeah, listen, Peyton Manning, listen. It's kind of like the Greg Maddox syndrome or James Harden syndrome. Without the rings, that's basically what he's like James Harden. Okay. Regular season, I can almost put him with anybody that's ever played. But we get money time, his cheeks got tight. So I don't really talk about him the same. That's the reason why I could never put him in the same conversation with Brady. Postseason don't do it for me. Well, it was a PR move by the whole team. They wanted to showcase Russell. But then again, they blew that game. They let New England take the lead in the fourth quarter. So that is on. It is a choke because their defense didn't come through. Brady was making adjustments in the fourth quarter. He was crossing the line. So they didn't finish what they started. That is in part on them, but then that's what ended up happening. Well, if they played smart, but they didn't, and that's why they lost, and that's what's up. So what happened in that game? He had to have lost a card game or Uno game or dice or something because that was embarrassing. But it's kind of funny now that who gets hired to coach the Raiders? Pete Christmas Carroll. Who's a part owner? Tom Brady. You do the that don't sound suspect. I don't know what do. Yeah, it's the worst call I ever seen. The worst. The worst. Gonna throw the ball on a man's hip. Throw the ball on his hip. And Malcolm Butler stood there and I was like, you got to be kidding. He threw the ball on his hip. Yeah, Seahawks fans were sick by it. You talk to a Seahawks fan there today, they might not even they get amnesia. Like who? Seahawks fans are about that Super Bowl kind of like how Clive Davis is about Diddy right now. Who? Who? Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, let me say this. Let me say this because was there at the time. They got a lot of unknown prospects. And I don't think they thought they were going to merge into what they did. Cam Chancellor, those guys are time. None of they knew Sherm. They didn't think those guys were going to be like that, Michael Ben and all that. So when those guys turned into something and they were underpaying them, by the way, then boom. We're not talking about Tom Brady, even though he didn't cook the Philadelphia Eagles, but we're not talking about Tom Brady, okay? We're not talking about it. He didn't cook the New York Giants. We're not talking about Tom Brady, okay? And listen, I'm a big Brady fan because Michigan Wolverines is my team. And I do hold Brady, I think him and Mahomes, you can make a case, GOAT quarterbacks with Joe Montana. Those three. But, but Seattle's defense got exposed by him. He hit a sweet spot and they just got exposed and they wore him down. That's all. I know how many rings he got. and he was dominant, and he was great. And I'm not saying anything else, but it still was a stupid play at the end, no matter how you slice and dice it. And football is a game of inches. They did choke, and that's true too. Because I was pulling for them to beat the Jets, and they couldn't get past Reese. Rex Ryan. That's one of the time though. Mr. Lard actually came up big. He had a good game plan, but Seattle did blow that Super Bowl. They blew it. I don't care what nobody says. You got to win that Super Bowl. They never did bounce back because the next year they played Minnesota in the cold. Russell did bail their butt out because that Minnesota kicker missed those kicks, and Russell came up with some big plays in the cold in Minnesota. But then they got their butts waxed the next week. I forgot who it was that waxed they behind, but they never was the same. They were mad at him. They had a game that next year against the Rams, and they were going for on the goal line, and Richard Sherman went right into Pete Carroll's face and said, "Don't do that again," because everybody remembered. Not bring. I'm not. He brought up. I'm gonna just reiterate what he said. He was talking about how a defense was prepared for Brady. That's what he was saying. And you're going into historical terms about how great Seattle's defense was. Well, he brought that up because how about this? That Reeves, just like Champ Bailey, were always a problem for Tom Brady, but Richard Sherman wasn't mysteriously. That's true. It did. Uh, when you bring up ever, you put it there like they were unforceable. They're not the best defense I saw. What I will say this to you, Jay Will, is this: they had a good, strong collection of talent. I like Michael Bennett a whole lot. Cam Chancellor was probably the best talent in that they had on defense. And then Earl Thomas was a bad dude when he wasn't throwing his finger at people and acting off. Sherman was polarizing, and he was good for a while. Yeah, if you say one, but considering that they didn't get much, you said best secondary. And when you say secondary, you said the best. And then we mentioned that secondaries that would come up, you downplayed it. But you did. Because I mentioned the 49ers in the 80s. I ain't stutter. I said the Steelers in the 70s. I ain't stutter. I saw them, the Raiders in the 80s. I didn't stutter. And they won multiple rings. And I could say Washington in the 80s too. They won multiple rings, went to multiple Super Bowls. No one talks about Darryl Green near enough. I'm just saying. We're going to talk 1 year wonders. The Bears are in that argument with Seattle. Darryl Green was a beast, yo. That dude ran down almost everything, and that was incredible. That's before they had what I call project players, package players for situations. He just run your butt down. But yeah, well, when you open up about when you saying the best secondaries or best this or that, well, yeah, you're gonna get some clap back. Yeah, you don't have to agree. It's all good here. You know what? I like them, but no. But I like them though. I like them. I like when Cam Chancellor would dive over them kickoff. What was that when he blocked that field goal? Dude had some spring in him. I like Sherman, but he never quite got to the full tilt. And he's also a guy who was part of two 10-point blown leads in the Super Bowl because he did it with Seattle and then he did it with the 49ers. But I'm tired of bringing up facts. I didn't say he wasn't, but he got roasted too, twice, two times with 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. There was a time when Russell Wilson was headed towards Patrick Mahomesville. He had beaten every quarterback. I remember when they beat New England in the regular season game in 2012. They had a talented team. Wagner's still playing. Bennett was bad. They were. They were. And don't forget about their center. Mm. See, they were. But they didn't dominate like they should have. Should have been 2 or 3 rings out that team. Pete Christmas Carol should be decorated as much as Jimmy Johnson, if not more. Okay. They took a bunch of team, the guys that nobody sought after. They were kind of like sought after ghetto project cats. And then they blew up and actually turned out good. And then they broke them up. It was embarrassing. He won that game against Minnesota the next year in the cold. He came up big. He only got overrated when you start winning. He wasn't trash, but he did get overrated. I'll give you his last year in Seattle and since then, except for he had some moments in Denver the second year. He stunk the first year. Last year he was average. The Sierra years, he been just a mediocre quarterback. Pre-Sierra, he looked like he was really good. He carried them against Minnesota the year after they lost that Super Bowl. That win was on him. They were in that cold in Minnesota. He's the one that saved their butt. They were getting beat up in that game. That's exactly true. TSP is telling facts. And he got his hair all shady and shimmying. He was all shimmering. He did. And he got this mistaken that he was better than he was. That's why he acted like a diva in Denver. And that's why he got in Pittsburgh. And now, the history speaks for itself. Someone ask a question. Now, unlike TSP, I'm doing this off the dome, but I got memory. And when I mention the 80s 49ers, when I mention the 70s Steelers, 80s Raiders, when I mention these things, that's off of memory. Yep. If that was the case, then how come Russell Wilson replaced the guy and Doug Flynn was getting paid $50 million to be the quarterback? That Matt Flynn dude who came from who had a garbage time game in Green Bay for Detroit, and he got that big old contract before Russell got there. How come that came to pass? LOB came into existence around the same time with Lynch, but they needed the right quarterback. He was picked. He was paid. But when Russell emerged in training camp, Pete Carroll went with Russell. I'm trying to make some sense. No one did. Flynn didn't win no game. Before that, there was oh god, what was that dude? Charlie Hurst or Winhurst. He had a mustache, a beard. He was like a long journeyman that the white that they had, and Russell came and got the job. Well, I'm gonna tell you something. So the year before they won the Super Bowl, that was that boneheaded play by Pete Carroll against Atlanta because Russell was driving. So that one backfired. Russell came up big. Russell looked like the truth. He had games that he was dominant. Yeah, but guess what? They broke up LOB and they sent them on their way. But they kept Russell. And then they let Marshawn go. So tell me about it. That's thank you. And Flynn wasn't working out. Yeah, but whose career do you remember? How long did he stay the better quarterback though? I mean, I could say Kaepernick. I could say Kaepernick too. He threw that bad pick. But the thing is, Russell was legit. Now, Russell had a winning record his first couple of few years. He had beat almost every quarterback you could mention. But after that Super Bowl loss to New England, his ship sunk. So when was the end of LOB though? When was the end of LOB though? Because Michael Bennett left and Earl Thomas was still hot. Remember how he thought it would PKR? So when the LOB leave, Bobby Wagner's still playing. And I'm not trying to turn this into a Russell Wilson versus the team because that's just ridiculous. You know, I'm not trying to do that. This getting ridiculous, but yeah, it cracks me up. You know, it did nothing. You sound like both components need one another. Russell obviously went to a couple other places. Richard Sherman did the same deja vu with the 49ers, and they blew a 10-point game in the fourth quarter against Kansas City. I've already been through that. Michael Bennett pretty much went to Saudi Arabia and Philadelphia and really wasn't heard from again. They ran him out. Earl Thomas went to Baltimore. It wasn't much happening with that situation. So, you know, but to say he only won one playoff game when he was the catalyst of the team, yeah, yeah, stats. Analytics dictates everything. People use it all the time, and they don't even know the half of what it means. That's the sad part about analytics. I think that, sometimes when people fundamentally, no, I'm right here. I said it, right here too for your time. I'm going to be here for another 30 minutes. Glad you came on, Charlene. It's all good. Timing is good. Mm. The best Robin. So if you're talking about like the sidekick, you talking about the greatest sidekick? I guess some people going to say Scottie Pippen. Some going to say, I don't know. Yeah, they trying to bring up Austin Reeves. I hear that mess. I hear that mess. And he is actually playing really good, even though he can't really play a lick of defense still. And if he goes against a team that has a legit guard, he's gonna get shook and took. So they protect him by floating on the top of the key, and then he does his thing. So you know, yeah, okay. I just mentioned the people I wanted to mention. That's all. That's why I mentioned it like that. I was making them out because they were influenced by him. Yeah, but I wasn't using hip hop. I was using that in that comparison because there is kind of like a song and dance R&B man. That's why. Not about hip hop or anything like that. That's why. I didn't say in general. I didn't forget him. I just didn't have him used for the purpose of the video. That's what that was about. Oh yeah, it's all about, yeah, we all see the stat. They turned the NBA to what they did to baseball to try to justify. And baseball got away with that because you did go by the teams. NBA stopped going by the teams a long time ago, except when they won't make their convenient argument. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, I got one coming out in a couple of days. I did the Lady Gaga record. I like to sprinkle different topics. You know, don't be one dimensional. So I got a lot of stuff. Well, the thing about baseball is this. Yogi Berra got 10 rings, but no one sits around thinking he was the greatest catcher or he was the greatest baseball player. And also he played for the Yankees. So it kicks on different weight. Pitchers, if they go back to Cy Young, they go to Walter Johnson before they come out. And thank you so much. Thank you, Jay Will, for the donation. Appreciate that. Thank you. But well, thank you very much. Wow. Thank you both. Appreciate that. I appreciate the donations. Thank you so much. I am very appreciative of people. Thank you so kindly. I'm glad we have a nice, lively debate. People getting fired. I like this though, you know. And we had it was a healthy, it's a healthy debate, you know. When you ask a question about you need to say best ever, then of course you open yourself up for targets DEI. And so um they were unfairly targeting black folks as far as they was trying to take the hiring process. So the story is that Target has had to they've been facing some backlash. So that's what's up. So you gotta read the news. What's happening in the United States is impacting them. Always good. Thank you so much. I figure with the exchange rate, man. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it though. Thank you. And what did they say who was? Do you think one necessarily make it through life? People do it all the time. Do I think it's necessary to make it through life? Depends on what you're doing for a living. The man put Russell Westbrook over. Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing. Yeah, the way cats talk about the NBA today is almost like they're throwing darts and they are trying to modernize everything to the point of no return. And everybody that having to associate themselves with LeBron James, they're going to say they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And the only person you can make a case for in that regard is Steph Curry, but that's because he changed the course and anyone is successful. But even when you say that, I can't put him top five. I can put him top 10 though. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Wasted. Yeah. It's all good. Well, I appreciate it. So, Katie, because he benefited from him. And this is the thing, he ain't no leader. Now, let me say this before you go on, because I know he was more talented. I'm not gonna argue that, but he ain't the leader. That's like Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter. But who leads? Who do you recognize as the guy? And Steph was still getting double teamed. Then he still almost had a triple double in that 2018 finals. KD came on board to ride. Okay. He ain't that alpha. That sounds like that could be a shot at Scottie Pippen. You ain't lying, because if you want to say Magic or Kareem, even if you want to say James Worthy, because that triple double in game seven in 88, and he did win the finals MVP. That's hard to argue. Listen, I thought KD was bad, but he's destroying his legacy with each day he play. He should consider getting a lazy boy out. Yeah, I said that about Worthy. Well, he did get that MVP in 88. That's when you know you're stacked. Yeah. Or if Clay don't get hurt either, because remember game six to Danny Green hit him. They were up in that game. And then that third quarter, that's when it all vanished. At least could have kept Clay. Because you know, game six, game seven, Clay, could have been a problem. So, well, yeah, they did. But Rodman couldn't keep up with Bird not like that. And Worthy was too wiggly. The Rodman worked best against guys that were immobile. One of the reasons why he had some success against Carmelo and was able to nudge Shaq is because they posted up. But guys that wiggled and moved and made him have to dart and move and took him around and he had to circle about, that's how you got him exposed. And that's what they could do. So, and that takes nothing away from Rodman because Rodman created his own lane. I mean, he's one of the most unique players I've ever seen. But having said that, though, there were certain styles that benefited him and certain guys that were problematic for him. And you had to be ready for that James Worthy spin move, that quick twirl. I wrote about it on me 2 years ago. I never got more hair in my life. Well, I did do a video, and I just recently posted about it. And I believe that's where Clutch Sports was dissing Kuzi because in favor of Robertson. And I remember about that whole thing when he was coaching him and how he stood him up in Cincinnati. Because Red Auerbach is quoted as saying that Oscar Robertson never wasted. He never wasted Talking about Oscar Robertson. Yeah, yeah, I have a video coming out where I did that. That's gonna be a future video. Yeah, that's a fact. I didn't praise Cousy. I never have. I thought he was good for what he was. I never praised him. See, I had a buddy of mine who saw them play, and he told me, he said Cousy was good, but he was overrated. He said he had handles. He said, but they making him out like he was a Harlem, like he was Curly Neal, and that was one. And he was a bit envious of Oscar Robertson, which I could definitely see because he was put in a position. And sometimes it's just like we are talking about Worthy and Barkley. You put a guy in a particular position. That's not saying he ain't great, but you know someone got you. You know good and well if that person had what you had, they'd be way more decorated. And no one ever decorates Cousy better than Oscar Robertson. Cousy never comes up in the top 5 or 6 greatest point guards, not by most people. Oscar Robertson still gets mentioned anywhere from 1 to 3. Depends on who you ask. 1, 3 to 4. Now Cousy got more hardware, more acclaim, and playing with Boston, but Oscar carried the streets though. So I'm taking Big O because Oscar Robinson with the triple double. You know, also the fact that he was a 25, you know, the numbers he put up with no 3 point line, with hand on contact, physical play to still get your shot off in that era. Shoot, you know that guy was something else. There was a bias against him because of the movements that he did. Yeah, he never gets his due. And I told you what I say, too black. I said it already. I don't stutter when I say stuff like that because I know there's a lot of folks who don't like the fact that he spoke out. Hmm. If we're going by the pure totality of the skills and the talent, yes. But the thing that I give Magic is this. He only got on a few guys I ever saw who could only score 2 points and beat you in different ways. And that's the thing that's to marvel at. He held back his scoring to beat you in other ways. So that's the thing. That's what it's there. Ask me on a skill point level, probably Oscar got him beat because he's a better pure scorer, shooter. But Magic beat you with doing other things, which one always he could get you. So, and I hold them both in high regard. Oh, I get the comparisons because they did the all around play on offense and what they did. I get the comparisons, but Magic's thing was more, um, you know, it's the way he brought it. Well, the reason why you won't like the older players because it looks not only because it looks grainy and old, but because they played a more physical brand of basketball. You had to earn your keep on the perimeter, in the paint, on the side. You're in an area where you don't see that. I ain't got no argument if someone thinks that he's better than Magic. I'm not gonna argue that because given what he got with Kareem, which and what he went through with Bob Cousy, common sense tells me that if the guy had a full slate, he might have more. Because they don't get to see him play and they're not romanticized and they don't really, you know, unless of course they're hanging on the rim or doing something of the antics or something to modernize, they don't because their fundamental style of basketball was not like, you know. Well, yes, it was different. First of all, guys didn't play year round. They didn't have a 3 point line. They played physical man to man. Also, um, the game wasn't the way it is where they let you walk and empowerment and carry and all that other stuff. He was great. And ironically, the man he teamed up with in Milwaukee and won a ring with is considered the greatest high school player. But that shows you where Oscar Robertson, the company he's in. Yeah, I just think that sometimes cats look at what the hype is with the media and how they hype up people. And I get it. You know, I know better too. That's why I hold up all eras of it. Because you can get into that JJ ridiculous talking about they were plumbers and carpenters and butchers and stuff and miss the point. But I understand. That's a true point. I have the ABA book by Terry Pluto, and they though they weren't no, they had it was the style. It wasn't holding back black players from playing, but it was the style. They didn't want yeah, that's true too. But let me break this down. They didn't want the New York Knicks, for instance, they didn't want them to be the N-Bockers. There was a whole thing about the whole team being black. But the style of the ABA was a lot more open. So the Godcats, because that's the counter league, just like the USFL to the NFL. That's what you did. It's still racist today. That is, and that is true because they're still lacking black ownership, black head coaches, black GMs. It's nothing has changed in that regard. They never had a black GM. I mean, not GM, but a black commissioner. That's what Oscar Rom should have Adam Silver's job. I've said that many a time. Stuff won't come across so fake and fixed, but that's another story, another video, another day. And they resented Dr. J. They had to acknowledge him, but they resented him. It's one of the reasons why he never gets his due with Bird and Magic because he brought that to the NBA, that excitement. He never gets his due. Yeah, there was parity in the 70s. So you had LA and the Knicks winning chips, but then you had Seattle and Washington winning chips. You had Golden State winning chips. So you had real parity, you know. Portland when they chip. So you had what they trying to make believe of today. That's what they're trying to say you on today. Actually, that. And actually, if you watch today's basketball, it's a hybrid of all that from then. Street ball, Euro step, and then what they make up on top. Oh yeah. If you never read that book by Terry Pluto, check it out. It's a great book about the ABA. Great book. Larry Brown cut his chops over there too. A lot of them got in on it. So I got 10 more minutes. We're gonna talk 10 more minutes. The day does look worse. I'm not going to argue that. I watching games and cats are still load management. They're modeling on the sidelines. Joel Embiid gone for the year. Tyrese Maxey broke off for him. Paul. I'm watching these guys just sitting there with clothes on. I can understand Victor Wemby. That's understandable. I don't know when Anthony Davis gonna come back, but I'm watching the sidelines. I'm saying, wow. Yeah, I'll say this. The saying of the league, that's like being in a small town and you manipulating because you're the only store in town. Does that mean that your quality is? No, you're making people wait on you when they want. Let me ask you guys. He might take a few. That doesn't mean he was a better player. And he admitted he admitted that Kareem was better. Different stanza though. And again, depends on how what you put around the situation. But it was a different era too. Because it was the big men that were dominant. Dr. J was bad. Don't get it twisted. But Kareem was had that hook, you know. I know he was, and I know what he did. And he was one of my favorite players. A lot of guys, Dr. Dre, named after him. Not the Shack in LA, but you could say the Shack in Orlando, and you could say probably in Miami. Not the one in LA though. That one in LA, that run, those 4 and 5 runs, there are very few people, very, very few on that list. That's true. He had crazy hops back then. I don't mind him saying it because I think you know where he was gonna go with that, but I chimed in. It's cool. Okay. ABA career, yeah. See, his ABA career was definitely top 6 or 7. I'll say that 6 to 10 easily. He was a revolution and he was a groundbreaker for his time. But again, it's almost like we didn't get a chance to really get the totality of him uncut. And when you put him with a legit center, that's another reason why Kareem does got the edge over him. I love those Sixers teams, but Daryl Dawkins, Caldwell Jones was not seeing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar until they got Moses Malone and 444. Because you still got to have the right pieces and the right parts to make that thing jump. Yeah, his ABA era, he and they had that stupid game in '89 with that 1-on-1, which was embarrassing. And he ate Dr. J up for that. I didn't understand what that was purpose of that was for. If you get a dominant big that does what he's supposed to do, that was embarrassing. And I cringed too. I cringed. And I love Dr. J. He's still the most classiest player. And he got Kareem beat on the class part, but that was trash though. I don't know what he was trying to prove with that mess. Because a lot of people fail to realize Kareem could get you some space, you know. It's easier said than done when you go against a guy like Kareem. Because he figured out how you smelled and he knew how to rub you out. Uh, Yeah, he did. He put on the 10 pounds when he had to go against Moses. He definitely made adjustments in his career. Took care of himself. He had to learn playing with Magic. He adjusted. I'm always amazed though when Magic doesn't call Kareem the GOAT though. That's just me. Listen, I love Moses Malone. I used to live in Houston, but Moses wasn't better than no Kareem. He was tough. But I seen Billy Pulse give Moses a headache, Moses pimp slatting, but well, he had to put 10 pounds on. So he had to get physical. He did. They took care of that. That didn't happen no more. I can't say Moses better than Jokic. I can say the Pete Bird. Yeah, I can give you that. I like Moses a lot. But he never was the offensive perspective that Jokic was, though. Defensive, that's another story. Hit them boards. I ain't never seen nobody could self pat and hit rebounds like Moses now. I can give you that about Bird. she's lost weight, but she lost her mind. She up there talking about she better than all these artists and stuff. She lost her natural. You know, I'm glad that she's healthy, but she didn't talk a little reckless though. Yeah, I remember he was bad. All he has to do is make him bite because jokers can shoot. He wouldn't have to go in the box with him. He'd be better bringing him out, move him around, circulate him, work him. So no, she wants to live. She got to take that weight off. And probably in the industry too, she got to take that weight off. And they probably paid her to lose some weight. You know, it's not good for her health, and it's also not good for her wealth. That sounds like something Little Richard would say. I think Jokic and Moses, if Moses can run and stamina, but you have to be able to get at him. No one talks about Embiid in this conversation. Please don't bring him up. He can't even play a week, let alone. No one remember that. No one remembers that. We still talking about the process. More like in bed. That's what he's more like in bed. Like he's in bed. He ain't done nothing. He better be happy he got him a token league MVP because he cried to get that. No one is sweating him. No one's sweating him at all. Yeah, well, that's understandable because he thinks he's a bum. That's why, which he is. Sat on your butt and don't come back. I mean, really. They were out before their season started, though. Tough. Yeah, I feel bad for Nick Nurse because I know he ain't signed up for that. And then Maxi's out, and then you got Tobias Harris hanging, making shots in Detroit. Come on now, that's embarrassing. Kelly Oubre, I do like Kelly, but they suck. They've been ping pong since what December 1st. It's embarrassing. Paul George got more. Uh, who does that mess in the NFL? That's a mess that the Miami Dolphins did too. Then the regular season started, and you forget all about it. Yeah, well, I don't think Nick Nurse is gonna have a parade. He probably trying to hide his face if he don't get fired. No, I heard that Phoenix won off season trade. That's what I heard. But how that turn out? Yeah, Mr. Analytics will try to play that Billy Bean ball, try to bring that Oakland A's to the NBA, and it didn't work. And Harden looked old in Philly, and then he's gone back to the Clippers, and he's looking pretty good. You know, but they spent a lot of times with a lot of just jive. Yeah, he definitely hurt them with those antics. Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit extra tonight since I'm not gonna be on the next 2 days, so we can definitely talk for about another 10 minutes or so. So that'll balance it out. He's been hurt and he's been wounded mentally and spiritually. And his problem is that he has raised himself into something he can't get out of. Talking about he gonna be as good as Elijah One and Shaq. He doesn't take care of himself. Mhm. It's hard to say, depends on who you ask. Yeah, they work out. I don't know. The Sixers, I don't know. It's a strange business how some things go. Yep. Okay. Unfortunately, them Lyft drivers and all that stuff is no skit. It was a time, but stuff be crazy now. There's a whole lot of if. Yeah, that sounds very real. There's a whole lot of if going on. We used to do that with music too. Hmm. Yeah, you're gonna be considered wrong. I think that what happens is a lot of guys always say that they played the day they would score more, this and that. You don't hear them say they'd win more though. Now it's one thing when a guy who's won something say he would score more. Okay, I'll listen to when Shaq says I would score more because he won something. But guys who scored a lot and then they say they played the day they score more, like hearing Iverson say that T Mac, that gets a bit like you really that's all you got to say. So, but pretty much. They sometimes do. Well, I think that in some cases, if you're playing for a whack team, you know you're not gonna win. And I understand, like if Ernie Banks said, if I had a played with the Cubs when Celso was playing, I can understand if a cat played for a scrub team that didn't do jack. And he says, if I had that, because um, I did a video about, I was talking about Walter Payton, and I said, imagine if he had played with the Bears now. The NFC North is nowhere what it was when he played, how physical the defense, not like that. So it does, you do wonder and ponder, but, and we do play if though. We do play if in the sense like take Russell Wilson, that whole thing of above. They don't make that boneheaded play, and then when their Super Bowl history looks different. So it's really, yeah, that's a good point. Baseball is different because baseball is more about your numbers and style. I mean, win is big, but it's more individual. Depends on who you're with. Hmm. But I think nowadays we get expecting the guy to come on and do it. Yeah, KG with the Celtics, that was everything. Well, yeah, 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 pretty much. Because you become lovable losers. I mean, like you take Mac and Cheese Jones, he's now moved on from Jacksonville for a guy who picked him up, but they going to the Raiders or something. It's just the kind of guys that keep getting chances. Somebody believe in you and say we're gonna give you a chance. Hmm. But we know you stunk it up for like 30 years though. Hmm. Okay. He's not as disciplined as Duncan. So that's Duncan could go to Minnesota and win a ring or two. The problem with KG is that as great as he was, he still had to rub off with Paul Pierce and Ray Allen and them guys. Parker and Ginobili were great, but that's after the fact with Duncan. Okay. There's a big difference. And you got to have the right system for KG to play. They two different guys. They styles are different. Mm, Spurs got beat bad that one, you know. Yeah, they just had a will to come back. That's Russell. No, I think the difference between Duncan and KG is that Duncan was just more fundamentally sound. I think KG tried to do a bit of everything, and I think sometimes that hurt him. And then I think that he lacked that leadership role. I think that's the thing. That's what I think hurt him. Now he was a very talented dude, scoring wise and everything, but Duncan just had more of a demeanor that it just we gonna win about business, and it just clicked. And I don't care what position they play, but he also could go to perimeter. He had a set shot, outside shot. That's why he was the fundamental. I agree. I agree. Because I don't think people realize how the totality of dominance he was. And that team won 50 games for like 20 straight years, and they were always, you know, it took something strange to get them to lose. Yeah. Except Duncan was a better scorer than Russell, but everything else it fits. Passing, rebounding, blocks, steals, and tempo. He understood tempo because the thing that he did, like I remember when they played series against Phoenix 20 years ago, Maury and M&S were running. And this is the thing. If he beats you at what you do, you can't beat him at what he do. That's what sets Duncan apart. He was ready mentally. He used to swim too. That's another thing he had in his arsenal. He was a really good swimmer. But see, Duncan did what Peyton Manning couldn't do. And I'm gonna use a football reference. Peyton Manning used to play off of the defensive cadence and throw it back at him, except when it counted. But Duncan, he beat you at what you did, and you couldn't beat him at him. Probably. Oh, what was the good point, TSP? Tell me what's a good point. I don't know because the Lakers had to get Phil Jackson before the discipline kicked in. I don't know. They were very undisciplined when they lost to Utah. So I don't know about the 5 rings straight. Oh yeah. I study these things. I do cross references. And he did. When they uh that against the Suns, when Amario Stoudemire was playing his best ball, man, all it. They ran with him, scored with him, and still beat him. They and Tony stopped. Try to play so damn basketball against them, Duncan will pound you, tear your behind up. Bill Russell, Floyd Mayweather, yes, because defense wins championships, and it's a fact. And you really don't have an answer for that. You might not like it. It's not sexy. It's not alluring. It's not seductive. It's not, but it wins. And you can't do nothing about it because 9.9 out of 10, you're going to win with that. I do agree about that Lakers. It was going in because it was too much alpha, ego, estrogen, however term you want to call it. Shaq and Kobe were doomed, and no one was going to defer. It was too much of the best of both worlds. It was in LA. Ego was ego, and discipline in mind. And the problem is that when they did get a Gary Payton and a Karl Malone to kind of buffer it out, those guys were too old. Carl did fit better, but he was older. And they didn't have anything else to, and they had just worn their course. It was incredible, but it ran its course. Sad but true. Because it didn't have the makings of Magic and Kareem. And a lot of it's because of the way the media was, and that the NBA was trying to anoint that one. And it just so happens, and they both were dominant. They both were impactful. So it was crazy. But that's a fact. But yeah, yeah, Floyd, people ain't gonna respect that, and they're gonna say this and that. That's the best way to work. If Kobe had actually said that he played the quarterback role, that's it. And that's where he was more dangerous when he wasn't before he, because that's where it utilized it. Exactly. Exactly. Okay, I'm gonna keep talking. I got I'm gonna call it probably about 5 more minutes. I got 5 more minutes. Been here almost two, so I'm gonna do like 5 more minutes. He did because he showed him what he did with Jordan. And then you had Glenn Rice, small forward, you had the structure and the style. So they were able to utilize the differential. Plus Harper played, he understood field system. You tween the right way. Derek Fisher had to learn that. So he kept everybody in place. That's why the triangle was effective. That's why they were able to rotate. Brian Shaw could be effective when he shouldn't be. You got mismatches. Rick Fox could have that set shot perimeter. You got mismatches. You have to understand the balance of that. That's a discipline. They were lethal. I thought it was 67, but okay. But they were lethal. They were lethal. Inside out. It was discipline. And that's where Phil came in handy. 65 and 17. Yeah, that's right. I don't know why I kept thinking 67, but yeah, 65, 17. They were a disciplined team. They played incredible that year. That's they won last year, and they were incredible. They were incredible that year. And I always thought that at whatchamacallit, I can't even think of his name right now. Um, Before he got traded to Dallas, because he was more athletic, but he just was inconsistent. I can't think of his name. Light skinned brother. He just didn't play with consistency, but he was athletic. He just didn't play with consistency for them. Can't think of his name right now. And I don't feel like cheating and Googling him, but Devin George. That's who. Devin George was frustrating because if he had stepped his game up, yeah. Had he stepped his game up, and he had, and that was a void, right? That was something right there. So he could have been even better, and they let him go. He got his rings, but yeah. So, but yeah, what's happening? How you doing? You come and catch me right when I'm getting ready to bounce too. I'm glad you on. Got to catch you in a couple of days. I'll be back on Saturday though. I'm on here for about 5 more minutes. Oh, that's because I got the drop, but I do love the Matrix though. So that definitely comes in handy. That's a compliment for me. And life today is like the Matrix though. Oh, we're gonna do that the next time. And I'll be back probably, like I said, God willing, be back on Saturday. So look out for me. Appreciate you too. Big different co-viewers. Just at the crib, I got some special effect. Yeah, he was allowed to increase, but they were also done within the cadence of the team. Phil put him on a stop limit. He put him on a stop count. He didn't let him go crazy. I know it's tough for some people to say. And Kobe was very polarizing. And I get how some people can be about him, but make no mistake about it. He played his behind off. He was tough. And he's not like there's nothing like him that's out there today. So just get that straight. Unless Kawhi Leonard somehow miraculously goes off and wins a chip again, that's the only thing that would be close. But that's not gonna happen. There's no one else that's like that. There's a difference. You could kind of say Steph has a little bit of the Kobe in him, but that's only when he's winning. But there's not really that Mamba mindset, really. You know, not anybody younger that I see. Oh well, that yeah, I'll give you that. But again, it two different. That's not fair because SGA is a guy that is leading the team, and also he's in a situation where he was kind of like an afterthought, and then he happened, and he just everything fell in place for him. It's two different entities. No, but we in a day and time you don't need a Shaq though. Chad Hogan fits his style just right. You know. Well, I don't. I'm gonna let him play along with this. I'm gonna let him play along with the Kobe thing because I'm play along because I want him to say that he's better than Iverson was early on, or say that he's, I just want to see where it goes with that. But this, or it's okay though. Or say that he's a better version of Derrick Rose. I just want to hear where this is going to go. I play along. I don't mind playing along. Peace out. Appreciate you. Thanks you, TSP. See, I play along. I know how to troll with the best of them. So, okay, I got 2 more minutes before I'm going to go because I do got to go. So we got 2 more minutes. So let's make it count. It's been cool. It's been real. I'll be putting this one up probably soon for the rebroadcast on the podcast. And if you don't catch it live, you can catch it on the podcast. And if you cats ever come through, men, women, all over the world, you come through and you want to do a live stream, just let me know. Send me a message. We can gear it up pronto. Charlene and everything, we'll get the times right. So I'm here for a couple more minutes before I go. Thanks for everybody that took the poll question, all the views and everything. To basically do your boycott target. Yeah, so just let me know what time works out. I'm not gonna be here the next 2 days, but Friday night, if I did come, it'd be a little bit late, but I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt it. So it'll be more likely Saturday. Anyway, appreciate the people coming through. Appreciate the donations. Appreciate the taking the time out your day and your time. 50-50 with the target poll. Okay. Very polarizing. I like it when we get a good poll like that. Thank you, Jay Will, for the Petrovich. I'm gonna look that one up and then I'll decide if I want to do that video soon. I probably would consider that because that's a cool tidbit. And his dad would say that. And I understand what he's saying because it was a different era. Don't let a finals runner up fool you. Petrovich was nice. The Nets that was a different era of basketball. So anyway, we'll get ready to wrap it up in just a second. Appreciate everyone that came through. Appreciate the support. Um, thank you always. Some good lively debates. And stay safe, stay blessed, stay well, stay woke, stay free, stay true. Looking to see you soon. All right. So till next time, peace and the best. And I'm out one time. Cool. I'm gone.